Hi there, folks. I'm Emily.
And I'm Elle.
And we are Oh My Word Podcast, a podcast where we review books, movies, TV shows, musicals, and give you ratings about their appropriateness, because there are ratings for when you watch movies and TV shows, but there aren't for when you read books and watch musicals. And also, our ratings are better.
That's true. Also, our ratings are content ratings. So we giving, it's not, well, okay, our ratings, I guess, are content ratings, but our ratings are the pearl clutching ratings, which are just way better, obviously, and they're for violence, language, and romance. So 0 to 4, 0 being excellent, there's none, if any, and 4 being this is way too full, stay away from this. Don't go there. Clean it up. Clean it up, people. So that's how our ratings work.
That's our ratings, and you can find us on Instagram at Oh My Word Podcast. So please find us there. We will tell you what books we're reading. That's where we put all of our ratings, teasers about what's coming up soon. You can also send us a message if you have any questions or any suggestions for something we should read or talk about. Oh, and you can also be a dear and go to Apple Podcast or whatever other podcast app allows you to leave a review and leave us a 5-star rating, because we asked you so nicely, and also because you love us, and also because you want more people to hear about us, because we're really trying to do a public service here. Trying to help you, and trying to help parents, and trying to help whoever is consuming media know what's going on before you get into it. Because otherwise you might be halfway through a book, and then something comes up that bothers you, and then you've just wasted several hours reading a book. We're saving you time. You should pay us, because we're saving you time, which is money.
Right. So just please subscribe. Yes. And public service, which has nothing to do with anything. But today we're actually going to go back a little bit in time to, talk about public life versus private life. See, with the Princess Diaries, which is actually, we're talking about the film, it's The Princess Diaries, and it's based on, there's a whole book series by Meg Cabot about it, and it was originally 10 books, then a couple years later she came out with the 11th book, and then she also made like a middle grade spin-off of it, which I recently saw them like re-promoting again, so I guess it's still out there, and the film is from 2001, and it's got Julie Andrews in it, which is probably the only reason why anybody would watch it. You have Anne Hathaway before she cut her hair for Les Miserables, and then you have Mandy Moore's in it. Also, so that's some of the big names. Mia Thermopolis is, she's like the nerdy high schooler, and all she wants is to, be pretty and get on by and all that sort of stuff. And then she finds out that she is actually the heir apparent to the throne of Genovia, which we don't know where that is on our map of the world that we have right here in our basement. But
my guess is somewhere next to Australia or somewhere in Europe. Definitely one of those two.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing, because this is Disney and Emily knows Disney, we thought maybe it would exist somewhere in the Magic Kingdom, but apparently it doesn't. So that raises a lot of questions about where's the secret passage to Genovia.
We're still working on it. We have crossed off of our list wardrobes. It's not behind a wardrobe. There is no secret train station. And there's no passage through a wood, but our top researchers are on it, and we will let you know once we figure it out.
Yeah, we ran into like every wall we could, and we didn't find anything. So now, and I don't say that yet. It's not metaphorical. We actually ran into the walls to see if we'd end up in another train station, and we didn't. And
we don't recommend doing that at home.
Yeah, well, so we took care of that for you. So next time you go to Disneyland or Disney World, you don't need to run into anything, because again, this is part of what we do.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, so that's so our ratings: violence is a 0 because they don't run into walls. That was just us. Language is a 0. Romance is a 1.
Well, she is kind of clumsy.
Romance is a 1. What?
She is kind of clumsy, so she actually does trip and fall. But I don't think she ran into walls as badly as we ran into walls.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. She is clumsy as part of being like her whole nerdy selfness.
Awkward thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Romance.
And then romance is a 1. It's not too bad. Romance is a 1. Yeah. It's just, there's a lot about like, oh, we have to have the perfect kiss. And when the perfect kiss happens, then my foot's going to pop, wherever she got that from. And then, there's a lot about that kind of stuff. But there is only, I think, there's 2 kisses. There's two kisses. Because there's one that's the not perfect kiss and the one that is the perfect kiss. But other than that, I guess they're just trying to, because they're in high school. So, like, girls are thinking about boys and crushing and whatever.
Yeah, it's nothing extra. It's not like the focus, really, other than that she has this crush on Josh. But it's not just the boy-girl thing. It's also the, like, he's popular and I'm not thing. So that dynamic is almost more important than the romantic part of it. It's the, like, wanting to fit in or at least being ignored, Sort of one or the other. Either let me fit in or let me be ignored. But either way, sort of, whatever I'm doing right now is not working. And of course, the complete opposite happens because she finds out she's a princess. And then the media finds out that she's a princess and they hound her at school. And she has to undergo this whole physical transformation to look more like a princess, which I understand certain parts of it. Like her grandmother wants her to walk with more poise and dress more put together, and not slouching and clean socks and things like that. But it is interesting that they do a total physical transformation, like get rid of her glasses and get rid of her frizzy curly hair. Yeah. I don't know what sort of message. Feels very much like Grease, with Sandy. I mean, and having to change everything so she fits. I mean, at least she's to fit into the role of a princess for her grandmother's instructions. It's not that she's doing it for a guy, so that's a little bit different. But there is an interesting concept there, I guess.
And what's it also with straightening the curly hair?
I don't know, but I think both of us are a little bit offended
curl her
by
hair
that.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Curly hair can be gorgeous.
Yeah, as a curly hair individual, I'm not offended by it. I'm just confused by it because I think curls are fantastic. So if her hair is all frizziness, then just give her something that will help her control the frizziness and get her nicer curls instead of having to straighten it. Yeah. I mean, if you want to, and if it's like, no, because Anne Hathaway's natural hair is straight, so that's why they were going for the straight and they were able to give her whatever the deal is. So then just have her hair straight hair, but tangled and greasy. And then we're going to teach you how to keep it clean and brushed. And that's not a don't be this kind of person, like in the physical transformation of like what was wrong with having the glasses. That's more of just, this is what you're born with, keep this clean, keep yourself presentable. And that everyone can go for, be presentable. Yes.
Right.
Be presentable.
Absolutely. Good way of explaining the difference there.
Oh, thank you. And, one more thing. Also, because from 2001, it avoids a lot of the stuff. That's 20 years ago. That's a long time ago. Wow.
Crazy.
It avoids a lot of the stuff that you deal with in film now. So there's also no social media. There's certain dynamics and like crazy, like certain things that are being dealt with now are not dealt with in there. Just with different things that teens are dealing with. There's not a lot of political stuff that makes it in, which is usually in all the films these days. There's always some sort of, whatever's going on in broader society somehow has to be. So you don't have any of that. It's just like it's like a teen chick. Well, it is. It's a teen chick flick, basically.
Yeah.
But it's actually just about the fun and the adventure and the kiss and not about like anything else.
Yeah. Her friend Lily is sort of the activist friend. And I was watching it recently and thinking, because, her things like save the whales and things like that. And I was just thinking, I wonder if this movie were today, what Lily's cause would be. Because she's that girl, she's like the crazy hair and she's sort of the like wearing boots and, like Doc Marten boots. And I'm the activist and I'm taking the feminist type thing. So I was just wondering, what she would look like today. But she's a caricature of someone like that, So they're not really making a point about saving the whales or anything. It's just that's who she is.
Yeah. Well, I think it takes place in San Francisco officially.
Mm-hmm. But I really liked this. I rewatched it recently, and it was still really cute. And there were a lot of things as I watched it. I hadn't seen it in so many years, and there were little things like there's a scene where Mia is at her first fancy state dinner, and in between the courses they bring her a sorbet, like it's a palate cleanser.
Oh yeah.
But she doesn't know what it is, so she takes this huge scoop of it and she gets brain freeze. And some of the other people, because some other royals of surrounding countries or even of lesser status within Genovia are suspect that this girl who didn't even know who she was is now going to become their queen. So she takes this huge bite of sorbet and she's doing this like, you know, she's making a face because it's so cold. And then some other people decide to join in with her so she won't look like a fool, which is so sweet. And I love that moment. And then her grandmother, so Julie Andrews plays her grandmother, who's the Queen of Genovia. Also, I'm not one of those people who calls people queen in real life, like Beyonce or whatever. But if I was going to give that title to anyone, it would be Julie Andrews. And then she makes a comment about getting brain freeze. Like, she's very much on Mia's side. It's a very nice relationship that they show between Mia and her grandmother. I can't even remember Julie Andrews' name in the movie because it's just Julie Andrews. Why would I remember her character name? But she's teaching Mia how to sit up straight at the table, and so she puts a scarf. She has her sit at a chair and ties a scarf around her shoulders so that she has to sit straight. And when I saw that scene, I must have been watching the movie with my mom because I think I laughed at it, and she said, you know, what's worse was what happened to your actual grandmother. My great-grandfather put pins into the back of my grandmother and great-aunt's chair so that they couldn't lean back, so they had to sit up straight. So that scarf thing probably does, like, that's probably a real thing that people actually do, because my grandmother came from Austria, and, you know, they're, like, the decorum and the properness, that was, like, very much a thing.
Yeah.
And then the, like, foot-popping kiss. We all wanted foot-popping kisses. We all wanted M&Ms on our pizza. We all wanted that cool door. Mia, like, lives in a San Francisco, like, there's a loft, and then her door slides. She was very cool. We all wanted to be Mia, and we didn't necessarily want to be Princess. We just wanted all the cool things that she had going on in her life.
Which also, sometimes, like, when they're trying to show that the person's such a nerd, and they're like, oh, they're the loser character, and then you have, like, all this other cool stuff going on, you're like, they're not so loser.
Yeah. Maybe it's all just perspective.
It is exactly perspective.
Oh, I have to share just one thing about the books, then we can close the curtain on Princess Diaries. So, maybe I read all the books, but I definitely read plenty of them. And I also read a bunch of other books by Meg Cabot. And I liked her writing at the time. I mean, she writes for tweens and teens, so I don't know if I would still like it. But at the age that I was reading it, I enjoyed it. But she has this really annoying habit for all of her characters, because she writes most of her books in like from a first person point of view, and her characters will say, I'm trying to think of an example. I went to the store and bought ice cream there. At the store, I mean. So her characters always will qualify so many of their sentences with the words I mean, but it's always stuff that's so obvious. Like, usually you say I mean to clarify something that would be unclear, but her characters clarify something that's so obvious, and I actually had to stop reading her books because all of her characters did, and it was so annoying. Anyway, but still very cute, and the movie is very cute, and it's good Disney. It's before Disney went cray, so it's good Disney.
By the way, if someone could explain to me how these kinds of books sell millions and millions of copies all over the world, I gotta bash it. I'm happy for the authors who could sell, but you have like Dork Diaries is millions and millions, and when you try to read them but maybe that's what it is, because when you try to read it as an adult, and because it's written for teens, it's not written for an adult to read, which is kind of where young adult is going now, or has gone now. You're like, how on earth, what language is this written in? I cannot stand I cannot stand this. But for a teen, they're not looking, like, what is the literary value of this book right now? They're like, hey, are we going to have fun with this book? So maybe that's how it could sell millions. But millions and millions.
It's just hard to know what's going to be popular, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. There's no recipe for that. There's a lot of times they think something's going to be big and it doesn't make it, or they don't, something comes out of nowhere and makes it big. So who knows? Exactly. But we should go study that. We should go make graphs. Oh, as we try to figure out where Genovia is, we can make graphs about these books that are like this, that sell millions and millions, and figure out the secret formula.
Very exciting. All right. Ooh, secret formula. Sounds like science. Sounds like explosions. Too much fun. All right. Thank you so much for listening. We got some science to do.
You should just go make explosions.
Sounds good. Thanks, y'all.
Cheers, everyone. Oh My Word podcast is brought to you by the pearl-clutching basement dwellers at Oh My Word. Follow us on Instagram for updates at Oh My Word Podcast, or like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For full episode notes and detail, visit eltenenbaum.com. Music is by Tim Burke. See you next time.